welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching, and if you have not yet subscribed, may I invite you to subscribe and hit that bell so that you can be informed of other videos. Today I am doing a rosebud cushion, and as you can see here, my fabric measures 33 inches. Now I'm going to work from bottom to top, and along the right side, along the length, I am going to be marking 1 inch spots. So I marked 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, and I'm going to continue this all the way up to the end. There you can see the marks along the edge, and these are all 1 inch apart. Now what I'm going to do is to move over and do the same thing along the other side down the length of the fabric. All right, there you can see both sides marked in 1 inch marks along the length of the fabric. All right, so now I have turned the fabric across because I am going to be working from one side across to the next side. Now I have aligned the tape measure with the first marks at the top, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to dot in 1 inch, still working on the right side. So I'm going to begin making a dot 32, 31, 30, 29, and I put a dot in there. All right, as you can see here, in dots. So I am going to continue to make dots 1 inch apart all the way down the fabric. So this is what it looks like with the dots all done. So they run straight across and straight down the fabric. I'm about to begin sewing, and I'm using 2 strands of thread. So I've doubled the thread and I've made a knot at the end. Now I am going to insert the needle on the left at the first dot at the top. I pull this all the way through, and then I'm going to just make a little sew there just to hold that thread firmly in place. Then I'm going to go across to the next dot. I'm just going to pick up a little piece there, down to the third dot, another little piece there, then over to dot number 4, another little piece, and then I go back to the first one. So I have practically a square sewn in there. Now I'm just going to insert my big finger in the space there, and I'm going to pull that up. I remove my finger and continue to pull as tightly as I can without bursting the thread. So there you have the first rosebud, and I'm just going to sew this over about 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, There you have it. Now right in the corner, I'm going to push the needle back to the wrong side of the fabric, and then from that side I am going to go on to the next dot in the row. Now I am out in the country, so from time to time you will hear the birds, chickens, you know, all kinds of sounds from nature. All right, so I'm back to the next one, and I'll just tack another little piece. All right, hold that firmly in place, and I leave the thread slightly loose on the back there. So I'm going to go now to my second dot from there down below to dot number 3, across to dot number 4, and back to the first one. All right, so each time you sew, you should have like a square, the thread forming there. Then insert the big finger or the thumb, and you're going to pull that, remove the finger, and pull as tightly as you can without bursting the thread, and then sew over that 4 times just to hold it tightly in place. Then I'm going to continue this until I get to the end. When I get to the end of the row, I'll show you what happens to go down to the next row. Here I have the first row completed. Now this would be the end of my row. Now instead of breaking the thread and beginning again, I would simply push down below like I did with the first rosebud, and then in the first dot at the end of that section is where I would begin again, still leaving my little loop at the back, and then I would go now like I'm turning the fabric across. So I would sew this one, the one immediately below it, that would be my number 2. Then I would go across for number 3, then to number 4, and back to the first one. I still have my square. I push my finger and I pull again, just as with the others. All right, I would still sew over that. Four times, then I push the needle down and go back now to the next dot immediately below that one. Now you have to be careful not to miss any dots, or you're going to have to pick that out, and I can tell you it's not a very easy thing. So we would go this way now, complete that row, and then come back up like we did with the first row, and we would continue that until we're all done. Now I find it easy, or a little easier, when I'm sewing. I thread several needles, you know, and put them down, so that when I'm done with one, instead of stopping to thread again, I just take one down, so I have 6 or more needles threaded, and that helps me to go a little faster. All right, I'm going to continue this, and when I get to the end, I'll show you where we go from there. Here they are, all finished, and in order to now go towards the completion, I am going to make pleats, small pleats, by taking up one tip of the rosebud and just using my finger to flatten that, and then sewing that over or basting it in place. I sew over that twice just to ensure that it stays in place. So I sort of pinch the pleat, then use my finger to flatten it, ensuring that the space between them remains the same. Then I sew over that. I find that it is easier to sew on the top as well, so that really holds everything in place. Let me see if I can give you a close-up of that, so that that's what it looks like. So you pinch the pleat and just flatten and then sew over. All right, there I have them all basted down, and so I am going to rest this and turn my attention now to the back section. I would also measure, and this is measuring 16 by 16 inches. I cut 4 pieces for the back, and because the finished part of the front is measuring 16 by 16, I cut this 18 inches across by 17 inches long, and I slit that in 2, so that I have 4 pieces in total. From the side, I measure 1 inch in and 2 inches down on both sides, and stitch that in place. Next, I am going to open this out, and I am going to flatten this section and pin that in place. I am using a 14-inch zipper, and the first thing I am going to do is to insert this in this space, and I am going to begin by basting down the side that will go nearest to the zipper. So I'm going to baste this. I can also pin this in place too, so that it does not shift. Alright, here it is, basted in with about a 1/2 inch overlap to conceal the zipper. I'm now going to stitch this down and then continue making the cushion. With the zipper halfway down, I placed the cushion cover over the back section, and I have pinned this in place. I am now going to baste and stitch it together and then show you. All right, so here we are. I stitched this together, removed the basting thread, and I have used a sponge bag to let you see exactly what they look like. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe, like, and share.